I think the coolest thing about this place is that it's so old. It was built in 1925. It made it through the Depression. It's the only privately owned, family-owned mill in Nebraska. It's the last one. So it's kind of cool to be the only guy on the block.
It's important to the community. It's kind of a staple of Wauneta, and we thought it was important to keep it going, to try to extend it past its 80 years. Jim is the grandson of the man who built the mill, and he's been running it ever since he could. He's teaching Rogan everything about making flour and how to run the mill and, you know, how to bag it and make it. Without him, we wouldn't know how to run the mill at all. So we like having him here.
We only grind hard red winter wheat. Protein's got to be usually 12% or better. A lot of the wheat's locally grown. I get a lot of it from northeastern Colorado. You want variety so you can blend it together and get a better grind. It's just better for the flour. Most of them are different proteins. They come from different places. So when we blend them together, we can control the percent of protein of the wheat when we take it to the roll. Everything's sifted through silt. Most nowadays, the modern mills, they sift it vertically. So our flour's finer and you don't have to sift it. The process is the reason the fineness is the way it is, because the way it's sifted, the way it's forced through those silts. When it's coarser flour, it's not as good. You're pushing more of your byproduct into the flour instead of pushing it out the mill feed. So you're getting more of a pure, I think more of a pure flour.
When you're baking something, you want it to be good and you want it to turn out nice. And I think with our flour, it does every time. There's not been a bad experience where the bread doesn't rise or the cookies are bad or flat. It turns out, and you can count on it to be that way.
I'm looking for consistency. I'm looking, like on this side, when I've checked these, I want to make sure that we're getting the most flour out of the kernel, and I want to make sure that it looks right. You can tell if you're too wet or too dry by the way your break looks. On that side, I'm feeling coarse. I want to feel how coarse it is, and I don't know how else to do it but by your feel.
We have a lot of customers who like to come in and pick their own bag and pick their fabric, and they try to match it, and then they sew things with it, you know, make clothes or bags or stuff for their babies. And it's funny to see them come in and really take an interest in the bags. The cracked wheat cereal is basically just the wheat, and it's just cracked. And you can use it for anything. It's good for your heart, it's good for your health. People eat it like oatmeal, or you can add it to cookies or bread to make it a little more nutritious.
They use it in granola bars, like Valerie. She uses it in her granola bars. People eat it just like oatmeal. Whole grain, multi-grain breads. Anything you want to add a little texture to, it's pretty good. It's kind of like rolled oats. You know, they made stuff to run, and we don't have to do a whole lot of, you know, maintenance on these things, because these basically are the, you know, toughest things to do, putting these silks in. It's pretty efficient. She runs like a top. It's kind of weird, but it's almost an intimate relationship. Mentally, you got to know what she's saying. You just do it by feel, and you got to know this building, or else it'd be tough. We're doing it with old stuff, and it's cool. You know, it's kind of cool that this thing, you know, came off of this mill they brought up on a wagon. Team of horses and wagon pulled it up off the railway, and they set it in here. It's been here since 25.